Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be making tokens similar to the ones you receive at AA meetings. If you've been sober for 2 months, you would probably receive a token that says you're 2 months sober, and you get to carry that around with you as like a reward. Instead, I'm going to be making tokens that are for Trichotillomania and other disorders similar to it. They'll be about this size and kind of look like this, but I'm going to have a different color. These will be your final result. These are your supplies. An X-Acto knife for cutting, and preferably a round cylinder such as this one, for not only rolling things out, but also forming the ridge. Painting supplies such as a small brush and a basic brush, as well as something to put your paint in. Some type of clay. Today I'm using Fimo Soft in shade green, as well as a little bit of white. You can use any type of clay you want, but today I'm going to be using this specific brand with these two colors. Since I'm using green, I'm also going to be using blue, so it matches the color of the official ribbon. You'll also need something to use as a top coat. Today I'm going to be using Sculpey Glass Glaze. So here are some optional tools. A tool such as this to poke holes into your tokens if you desire to. You can also use a pen. Some glitter to make it look more shiny. These are some colors that I used. As well as Fimo Special Effects, which is also used to add a little bit of sparkle. I'm going to use about this much white and this much green. I'm going to combine them and I'll see what the color looks like. Kneading is very hard when it's this much. I really wish I had one of those machines that you can press the Fimo clay with. Okay, I'm really liking the color that it's turning into, so I'm going to add some of this and maybe a little bit more white because I don't want it to be too dark, and this is actually going to darken it. The reason it's nice having an X-Acto knife, even though we're not going to be really using it for carving, it's nice to be able to just kind of slice off how much you need without having to get it under your nails like with the issue that I get. Now at this point, I want them to look even more glittery. They are tokens and I'm a girl. I want them to look as shiny as possible so that I feel special carrying them around. And so I'm adding different colors of glitters, like silver and light green. I'm going to progressively mix it in there. This is going to get messy, so it's better to do it over a tile or a plate or some wax paper or something like that, because it's going to be heck to clean it up later. What I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to kind of fold it in on itself and just kind of hope that it starts to mix in and become part of the clay. Pick up all the glitter that I missed. Just start rolling it in. At this point I've been working with the clay for a long time, so it's very soft and warm. But it is still a lot of clay, so it's hard to work with. I find rolling it out to be the easiest way to make several uniform shapes out of the same amount of clay. I can start dividing it until I have 20 pieces. So my philosophy behind this is that I have a nice roll. I'm going to cut it into 4 slices, and then I'm going to have each slice become 5 slices because I want 20 in the end. And I'm going to roll each one into a ball. Doesn't have to be a perfect ball, I'm just trying to make them ready to be pressed. And you can't press them if they're shaped like this. They're going to come out very weird. Okay, I have 20 kind of shaped like balls, lumps of clay. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. You can use the roller and a little bit of wax paper and gently press them so that they're flat. They're kind of coin shaped, so it's kind of like this original shape. It would be looking like this. But I don't have any wax paper at the moment, so I'm just going to use my fingers. I will slightly roll it to get rid of my fingerprints, and then I'm going to use the edge of this cylinder, press it into the center so that I form a small ridge. Now it's important that when you're pressing down, you don't press too hard, so much so that when you pick it up, it is easy to rip through the end. It's too thick. You'll end up having a destroyed back, and you don't want that. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle. In fact, I'm actually kind of making it oval shaped on purpose because I think it will look more customized that way. Now, because you're never going to get a perfect circle unless you have cookie cutters that are small enough. So instead, I'm just going to make my own shapes. I'm also making sure not to make it too thin or thick. I want them to be small enough so that I can just carry them around with me in my pocket or in my purse. But I don't want them to be so thin that they can break easily, especially if I bake them. They could easily crack under the pressure, literally. So what you do next is what I want to do anyway. To make them more personalized, I'm going to put my thumbprint in the center. I don't know if you can see it, but my thumbprint is definitely in the center, and that's going to be where the text is, making it even more unique. It's my thumbprint, it's my token. I've gone ahead and done 19 of these. I'm going to show you what I did. I added a ridge so that they look kind of like coins. Tokens and coins are kind of the same thing, so I decided this would be a neat idea to add a little bit more texture. I figured these will end up being kind of like worry stones, where you spend a lot of time rubbing your thumb on it and feeling the texture. How I did that is by taking the back blunt end of my X-Acto knife, just moving along, gently tapping to create these slight indentations. Now real quick, I'm going to show you something else you can do besides the indentations and the thumbprint and all the other little characteristics you can add to it to make it your own. If you want to, you can turn it into a bead or a charm by using one of these tools you can get at a craft store in the clay section. It's used to make a little hole you just keep flipping it, and then you have a nice uniform hole. I'm not going to do that with my tokens because my tokens are smaller and thinner than the prototype, and I decided that it wouldn't really look good in the end because I wouldn't have a lot of space to put the amount of time I've been pull free. So I'm going to leave them blank. This does look good though, just with it would become very busy since I have the glitter and the ridges and the words eventually. I figure a hole would make it look too busy. Once you have the cookie sheet out, you should protect the cookie sheet from your clay by putting down a layer of tinfoil. The reason you should do this is because if you intend to use that cookie sheet for food later, you really shouldn't if the clay has touched it while baking in an oven. Now in order to protect your clay from your oven, you're going to create a tent. Shiny side up. Place it over and tuck it under. This will secure the clay, and you won't have to worry about it accidentally getting burned while you leave it in there to bake. Make sure that the tent is not touching any of the clay coins, or else they become deformed from the weight of the tent. If are using Fimo brand clay, place in the oven at 230 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. So now my tokens are finished baking and they look like this. They don't bend easily, but there's a little bit of give, so if you drop them, they probably won't break. I've mixed the color of blue that I like, and I'm now going to use a very small paintbrush to paint the numbers on. And the system I'm going to be using is I'm going to be counting by weeks. So I'm going to have 1 representing 1 week, 2 representing 2 weeks, all the way up into 52 weeks. I'm going to be counting between 2 and 4 weeks for each coin, so that doesn't mean that I'm going to be rewarded every week. I'm going to start off by having a 24-hour coin though, just because that's a big accomplishment. 1 day pull free means a lot. Is 1 year. I also have a 0, which I'm going to actually kind of consider to be a fresh start. I have a relapse, so it's like a carry around a token to remind me that I can just start again. After all, only a day later, I can use the 24 one. Now what I'm doing is since I have so much blue paint left over, I've decided to also paint the inside of the ridge. Kind of makes it look like a casino coin, huh? So I'm just doing that with each one. I'm taking the same small brush and just sticking it inside the ridge, like so. Allow the paint to dry completely, at least an hour, trust me, before you put on a top coat. Top coat I'm going to be using is Sculpey Glass Glaze. The reason I'm using this is because it does not give it a sticky texture like other varnishes do. This stuff is designed for use on clay. All I'm doing is dipping my brush directly into the bottle of gloss and just painting the top only, not the sides or anything. I'm going to let it dry and then I'm going to flip it over and do the back, and then lastly I'm going to do the sides. Trying to make sure that the top coat does not have any fingerprints on it, or else it won't feel nice in your hand. Make sure you get into the ridges and that you cover the number entirely. I imagine this would rub off really easily if you didn't cover the number. And with that, I'm all done. I'm going to let these dry overnight, but as you can see, I have 20 tokens here that are completely finished.